Welcome back to Minus 16. You know you've been looking forward to it, and we are here as ever. The podcast where we talk about tech and, of course, the business, the juicy business of YouTube, the stuff that no one else tells you about. We are going to talk about all of it. How you keeping, boys?
Good.
Yeah,
good.
well,
sun is out.
I've just realised I haven't shut the windows. That was a rookie mistake. So if an ambulance goes screaming past, we've got to deal with it. Sorry. But it does lovely. Actually have some air in here. So the summertime is an odd kind of time, but I know with Samsung, they have events, and I think there's an event week coming up for you.
We're
boys,
going to unpack a lot of it.
yes,
boom, boom.
plenty to unpack here.
So my one foray into the world of Samsung, apart from my TVs, was when I bought that Flip a couple of years back, and you and me did an unboxing together, Daniel. So I know that their summer events tend to be, and there's no great surprise, it's the flips and folds, and wearables. Is that kind of the drill?
Yeah, I mean, Samsung have pretty much teased that that's the case. You know, something about the next Ultra unfold or something along that lines is sort of what the teaser is sort of showcasing. So we can already assume that from all the teasers that it's the next fold. We know what it's going to be. In terms of what it looks like, there's obviously some leaked images going out there, some leaked specifications, but obviously nothing's confirmed yet. And even if it was, there's lots of contracts that have been signed that prevent any discussions further taking place. But it's that's pretty much the gist of what next week's event is going to be, with I think some surprises in store potentially.
Like David and I can probably talk about what we want to see on the fold. I mean, I'm not sure about David, but I know you can't probably talk about too much because you've already seen it and you're under.
What are you talking about? I don't know. What
disclosure agreements and whatever, but or non-disclosure, I should say. I'm really looking forward to fold, assuming it's the fold that we're going to see next week. That I'm hoping that they catch up a little bit on the hardware side of things. I mean, in terms of software, Samsung One UI is incredible, especially in the fold. You know, when what they've been doing the last 3-4 years is really good, and it drives the others, in terms of competition. But as we know, and as we've seen several times here on this podcast, the foldables from China are getting ridiculously thin. So I want to see a thinner foldable. But, when you buy a foldable, you also care about battery. Again, the Chinese phones, they get really good tech on the battery. And then it goes into, photography perhaps is not the most desired thing on a foldable. When people buying, 1800, 1700 device, is mostly for work, I'd say, or for multitasking and using that bigger display as a mini tablet. But maybe now is the time to start expecting better cameras as well. So we'll see. These are the things that I'm kind of looking forward to.
If the Fold Special Edition is anything to go by, which was the, I guess, Korea and China edition only, the cameras on that got the upgrade. They got the 200 megapixel camera from the S24 Ultra.
Forgot about that one, yeah.
And they got the ultra wide from that as well, which with the dual pixel and the macro. So like that did improve the camera a little bit. And it sort of showed where Samsung were heading with the wider cover screen and the 8-inch inner display instead of what it was before. So it depends on if that's the path they're going to follow or if they're going to go back to the narrow form factor from the Fold 6, which has its place. I think the Fold 6 with its narrow cover screen for one-handed has its place, but it was very thick compared to what else is out there.
I mean, having used the Oppo Find N5 and seen the new Honor, which we'll talk about soon, the Magic V5, there is an in-between size, I think, which is not as wide as a Pixel, for example, Pixel Fold, but it's not as narrow as the Fold. There's something in between there, which I'm really enjoying. And because of the thickness of the foldables, they do become pretty much the same thickness as an iPhone when it's folded like that. So I think there's if Samsung goes this way and makes it a little bit wider and thinner, I think they kind of keep everyone happy, including me, because for the same reasons, I do enjoy the narrower front display.
What's the sales correlation between folds and flips? Are the folds more popular?
Don't know. No. Flips are by far the highest selling device just because of the lower cost to entry. Like if someone wants a foldable, they don't want to spend too much. The Flip gives them a bit of a easier access. There's some rumors that there's like going to be a cheaper Flip coming with Unpacked as well. So maybe like last year's body. I think that would do well. Again, I think a lot of the barrier to entry for foldables is just price. Is probably the biggest stumbling block. But the fold thing with the battery you mentioned, Alex, I think the Edge kind of shows that if you get the density and the optimization right, you'll actually be okay with battery. Like this, by all means, had a terrible battery capacity in today's standards, but I've enjoyed pretty good battery life from it. And I just don't think Samsung's ready to bring in the new tech yet.
And assuming we're talking Snapdragon 8 Gen
Elite.
4?
Or 8 Elite for Galaxy, yeah.
Oh,
which is what's on the S25 Ultra. Same chip, I'm pretty sure.
Cooling is going to be key.
Important.
Right? Because,
And they use the same UI, do they? It's one UI that be running on the flips and folds.
Slightly modified for the foldable, yeah.
Yeah, right. Especially for the flip, because the flip's got that cover screen that's a different user experience. Like the flip, it doesn't run a full phone operating system. It's like a widgets and cards and sort of re-optimized camera to suit that cover screen. So it is slightly tweaked to suit, and there's like flex mode and stuff to be considered. But yeah, at the base of it all is One UI.
Out of interest, I mean, when it comes to Apple events, the renders that begin to be leaked out even now, so 2 months ahead of the event, are pretty spot on. Is that the same with Samsung, the leaked images? Do they tend to be fairly accurate by this point?
By this point, yes. Like a week out, yeah. But in terms of like 2 months, 3 months ago, they're still figuring it out. But the problem with Samsung and leaks is that their system, I guess, for controlling like when stuff gets out is way worse than Apple's, because Samsung have a bit more of a partnered thing, whereas if Apple, like they've got really strict commercial agreements that if anyone takes a photo of like a poster or leaks a render or a retail box, they're done. They are finished. Whereas I think Samsung has a bit more leniency with that. They're like, oh, you can just try and stop the leaks, but you know, Apple will pull stock off shelves if anything sort of happens, you know, like there's a way stricter policy. That's why you don't see as many Apple leaks, and it's all fan made renders based off word of mouth, as opposed to like an actual photo of like
some case manufacturers as well, right? They accidentally or not kind of end up publicizing their products, but at the same time, you know, leaking the design, right? If you see a case with a massive pixel looking like camera module, it's like
exactly.
They're all over Twitter.
Yeah, you don't have to scrape far to find them, do you? I mean, they are out there. And just talking about the leaks, I don't know if it's something we've ever discussed. I've always been of the opinion, certainly with Apple, that I reckon they're the ones that initiate the leaks and let out what they want.
No, I'm not
they
sure.
Let out just enough would be my take, because the bits that they don't want us to know, nobody knows about. So, and I know most of it now is under their control.
I think there's something there actually when you say that. Yeah.
Because rumours are good, right?
Yeah.
It's free publicity. So they let out the drips they want.
How did we never hear about the M1 chip? I mean, going back a few years now, but the M1 chip on the iPad, which was, it felt like watching a keynote back in the day, right? It was like, oh my gosh, that came out of nowhere. No one knew about that. We were still talking about, I forgot what we're calling it, but it was like the A17 maybe, or whatever, A17 Pro chip or 16 Pro chip. You know, it's like, no, it's the M1. Wow. So I think you're right that there's stuff that it literally is like secret sauce and we never hear about, and then some other things miraculously come out.
I don't know, it's a cynic in me, but I've just always thought they will drip just to keep the rumours going, keep them at the top of the list of, you know, video clicks and so on. So there's a nice bit of free publicity going on for them, and so idiots like me make videos about it and talk about them. Just enough. Sorry, that was just a cynic. I was going slightly off, but it was just talking about the rumours there about Samsung and, you know, what comes out, and as I say, what we see on Twitter and X and so on. So is there anything you two are particularly, really, really honing in on next week then?
Oh, well, for me, it's the Fold. I am a foldable convert since the old Fold 1 days. I've actually ordered a Fold 1 OG Fold. I bought a broken one just so I can have the hardware to show on camera. And then I've got a bid in for a working one. I'm currently waiting to see how that goes. But yeah, the Fold is just to see what they've done, especially after the Fold SE, whether they've refined it more and how close they now got to a standard phone experience when closed and then the tablet when open.
Yeah.
So I think
I was just going to add to that. I think realistically, the Fold is almost like a luxury phone that the majority of people buying it, I mean, are probably able to afford a second phone. So I don't know. I'd love to see what the ratio is between people who own a foldable and that's it, and who own a foldable as a second phone. Because for me, of course, being a tech reviewer, you've got access to a lot of devices. So, but it works really well for me to have the foldable as something I use later in the day, like in the evenings, for more like content watching. Just kind of using as a mini tablet almost. During the day, the S25 Ultra is it does a lot more for me. Mainly because my banking apps and the S Pen is a little bit easier to use. So I think I'd love to see what that ratio is, because I think at the moment it's still, because of that price, it still feels like a luxury phone. I mean, to get to that point, you probably go, right, that's almost $2,000, right? And it loses value very quick. It has to be said. Every Fold I sold, I couldn't make 1,000 right on it. It always sells for £750, £800 in the UK. And I knew I paid 1,300, maybe 1,400, whatever it was, if
Is
not
it just
more.
tech people that love the foldables, do you think? It's not a phone for the general public? Is that part of its problem? Or the public aren't aware of them, possibly, of what they can be?
Maybe in the West, but yeah, in Asia, right, it's huge. You see now Trifold being popular over there. It's like even bigger tablets.
I show non-tech people and they're super impressed. Like, they love the idea of what a Fold is. But I think they all think, oh, I'd break that, or I'm too rough with my phone, I'd damage that immediately. I'm like, oh, that's such a tired argument.
That was the other thing about buying a foldable. I mean, there was some research done. I think Honor did that, and they shared. It was, there's 4 things that people care about: durability, battery. There was one more, but the durability on the hinge, especially, is like, is number one concern, because of the earlier models. I mean, Samsung, kind of were trailblazing there, but that they did break after a while, right? Especially in the middle of the screen. But those days are gone. I mean, what Honor were showing was like they were hanging things off the hinge. Like, was it 8 cans of Coke in a bag being held entirely by the hinge on a bag. I did a short on that, but it's like, that's insane. It felt like, unnatural to see that, but it just shows that the tech in that space is moving so fast, and durability is probably not going to be a concern from now on.
I know we were talking just before we started recording about that flip that I had. I've sold it to a friend, and I saw it. Okay, the inbuilt screen protector is beginning to show signs of age now, but that's 2 years down. But other than that, the thing's spotless still. And the actual hinge mechanism still feels really tight and well engineered. It doesn't feel like it's going to break at any time. So I think they are clearly getting on top of the mechanics of it now and the design side of it. And before we come on to the Honor, just finishing off with Unpacked, it's kind of a wearables event too. No buds this time, but watches. Is that kind of the word?
I think it's, there hasn't been any like leaks of any like update to the Buds 3 Pro. So it seems like it's the watch. I remember 2 years ago when the Watch 6 Classic came out, Samsung told me at that event that the Classic's going to get refreshed every 2 years. So we could probably expect the Classic with that rotating bezel to sort of make an appearance. And that's the rotating bezel is my jam. That sort of navigation of the watch with that bezel, love it. So I'm very excited to see how they've brought that back. And
I still have the OG
sort of adapted
with
the Ultra form factor with the Classic to see if they've done that. So the OG Classic was revolutionary at the time because it did revolution. Anyway,
so how's it work for you in Oz? How does it work for you in Oz then? I mean, I know the event's in New York. Have you got a local event you're going to, or
no? They don't do a watch along in Sydney because it's midnight when the Unpacked event's here. It's midnight, and it's like no Australian content creator is going to get up and go to a watch along at midnight. I mean, I do, but no one else really will. The other, like, we have our usual media events that we go to, that we get our sort of hands-on time and whatnot, but
it's usually days before the ones in the UK and in Canada as well. I think Canada Canada is still ahead of the UK. The last few years, they've always had like creators hands-on experience days, where some creators even get given the phone at those events. But we in the UK, for whatever reason, seem to be the last to do.
I don't know why that is.
Because you've got 2 events, haven't you, next week, Alex, in London?
Yeah, so one is like the one that Daniel just mentioned, where there's a bunch of creators that get invited to experience the phone in person, and they give you a presentation for about an hour, which usually is a bit of a waste of time, right? Because the leaks are out, we know what the battery, we know even the price at that point. It's like I would cut that bit to like maybe half an hour to give your spiel, and then let us experience the bloody thing and record as much content as possible. But what ends up happening is there's a limited number of devices on display, and there's like 50 people trying to get to them, and it's just messy, right? Because you're rushing to get anything for that hour to make a video about whatever, on embargo lifting. And
I've been kicked out of the hands-on events before because I'm the last one there, still trying to capture the last dregs of stuff.
You're sweating and you're rushing and you're going through. Even if you organize yourself, so I want to get these shots, you're still like panicking it. And then you see someone like another creator, and then you start chatting to them, or they come and introduce them. It's like it's an awesome event, like a social thing to meet other people, doing the same thing, which is rare for us, right? So those opportunities are like gold dust. So you try to appreciate the fact that you are amongst other creators, but at the same time, you're like on the clock, right, to record for an hour, which is really not enough. But so there's a second event in London this next week, which is quite cool. Sometimes they don't do this. They've done it for the S25 Ultra Unpacked. So maybe this is becoming a thing they do all the time, which is like a watch along. So you're watching the
watching
lucky
live.
the lucky guys who went to New York. You kind of, with your FOMO here in London, but at least you are, watching in a building where it's, Samsung only. They've closed this amazing place in London that it's going to be fun, and hopefully I'll get a sample device to start working on my reviews there as well, which will be cool.
I was meant to go to Unpacked. Well, I had the option, but my daughter's birthday is on the 12th of July. And I'm like, I got to be a dad. I'm a dad first, so you can't just...
You could have moved it. She's
a birthday.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to be in New York, but I would have flown back on the morning of her birthday, and then school holidays, leaving the wife with the kids.
I would have moved the birthday.
Yeah, I guess you would have been absolutely
your birthday
wrecked,
is
right?
this year. Your birthday is next week.
Yeah. Kind of like they do in England with the royal family. We have 2. We're going to give you a second birthday this year.
It's gonna
if
happen.
I did that, the next podcast we'd be doing, I'd be single. So let's not do that.
And carrying on the foldables theme, the Honor Magic V5. You've been talking about quite a lot, haven't you?
The Honor Magic V5. So that one we can talk about hardware-wise. There's a weird embargo.
Explain that. What's going on with that then?
I think it's because they're still fairly young, right? As a company, they used to be part of Huawei. Now they are their own thing, but they're still like not globally able to distribute the phone at the same time and launch the phone like Samsung and Apple, and maybe even Google struggle as well a little bit. But because of that, they have a China launch first. At least for this one, they're doing this. Right? They launched in China, I think 2 days ago, or in 2 days' time. I'm not sure. And then the UK launch is not until like beginning of August. So when I do, and then last week there was a hands-on event similar to the one I'm going to next week. But they said, you can record anything, but only publish stuff on this day from, I think it was from the 1st of July, if it's mentioning the hardware. So we can't talk about the software, even though there was some amazing stuff in there that it's pretty much looks ready to me. So we can't talk about it until they've got this weird embargo on software. Mm-hmm. And that was the same for the 400 Pro, which is a kind of a mid-range device. I still have it here. Similar thing. It was I actually leaked something by mistake with that phone because I got confused. I was like, it was so unusual, right? To say you can talk about hardware but not the software. Because I was like, here's how to do image to video. And I got like immediate like call from Honor saying, no, you got to delete that.
Really?
So I accidentally leaked that image to video on Instagram. Yeah, but it wasn't intentional. I know a lot of people do it to get views.
Get clicks, yeah.
Like some channels, like with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, still do that to this day. They've done it this week with Honor. It's like, you're not supposed to, mate. We're all in the same boat. But I'm past getting upset with those things, because I ultimately, being on time is overrated. Releasing a video on launch day is overrated.
We said that on the last pod, didn't we?
It's like so many
Unless
years. I
you're
remember
one of
back
the
in
big guys, it's too hard.
Exactly. You are your video is going to get buried, because people watch Marquez's or watch whatever, right? And then your video is completely buried in the algo.
It was exactly the point Sam made last pod, wasn't it? Exactly that point.
Yeah. So we kind of will. I remember being upset back in the day when we were like less than 10,000 subs or whatever, and like being, oh my gosh, I wish I had this access, right? But now it's like, even though I have access to some early devices from Samsung and Honor, I think that's it really. There's not been one video that I thought, because I was that early, I got a lot more views. I think the S25 Ultra is different, because my videos always do well on the S25 Ultra, but most of the launch date stuff,
I just got to change my content strategy for that launch day stuff. Like, I did 3 videos for the S25, and one was a hands-on, tanked. One was every new camera feature, which did okay, and then one was a comparison to the S24 Ultra, and that did really well. They got like 90,000 views in a couple of days. So like the content has to be right. If you're just doing
always great, this time.
If you're just doing impressions, like Sam said last week, as soon as the impression period is over, and they've seen Marquez, Mr. Who's the Boss, and one or two others, those impressions videos, like, what are they going back to them for? There's no reason to. They're done.
So your thoughts on the Honor then? What's your? I've seen some stuff on it. It's ridiculously thin, right? When it's opened out, it's like 4 millimeters or something.
8.8 when you open it. And I haven't measured.
I think it's 4 mil or 4.1 or something open, isn't it?
Does that include the lip? That little lip that's in the.
That's just from this display to the surface of the thing, so it doesn't count the camera up, because the camera is actually quite bumpy, right?
Camera bump I get, but the lip part that protects the inner display.
Oh, I don't know if it includes the lip. I don't know what you mean by the lip.
On the foldable, there's like a little ridge, like on the bezel, a ridge on the outside of the inner display.
Right.
It sort of raises it up a little bit, and a lot of the other foldables don't count that in their thickness.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That question did come up. Do they measure it from whatever to whatever? And they said no, it's from the screen to the back of the phone. So maybe it's we'll see. But it's according to Honor, is and will be, which suggests that they already know what the Samsung measurements are. But they said it will be the thinnest on the market. So, but the thing is, right, when you go to this level of thin, I mean, even the Oppo Find N5, which you can't find, even though it's called Find. But I don't know if I had my eyes, but the USB port, can you see this clearly?
Just about got it. Yeah, just about got it. Yeah.
Yeah, the USB port there is almost like there's no room for any thinner than this. So I think that's as thin as we'll see foldables, unless we change to a portless device. But because USB-C is USB-C, right? You can't change that. But it does. You then start to get to the point where, well, how durable is that going to be? And that was the thing that impressed me the most about the Honor so far. It was they were able to demonstrate that you can put a lot of weight on that hinge. So it suggests that you will last a long time. The challenge
it feels well engineered.
Oh yeah, It's super. I mean, it's expensive as well. I think 1,800. I want to say, but I might be misspeaking here. But we'll put it in the description what the cost actually is. It's around £1,800. So it's super expensive. But
you said it won't be available until August.
In the UK, not until August. Yeah, it's available now in China, I believe. But yeah, not until August in the UK.
These sort of newer phones to the market, like Huawei's and like the Honors and so on, Oppos, are they available on provider upgrades, or do people actually physically have to go and buy
In the
them?
UK, you can now get on
You
devices.
are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the EEs and Vodafones, they're doing them as part of packages. Yeah. Because I thought would be a big barrier back if it was always people having to go and buy them.
It's such a shame that in the US they're not available, because honestly, even the Oppo is such a shame, because I would hedge a bet that actually that would give Samsung a lot of headache. It's such an awesome hardware. But then, when you buy a phone, we're also carrying how usable is it? Just a big phone with the the exact same UI, or is it actually giving me a lot of functionality? And Samsung,
something extra,
because Samsung has got the S Pen as well, additional accessory. But I think they are better. I don't think they are better, factually, because you can do more with it.
But doesn't it go back to the battery thing, the problem of shipping batteries? Like Ice Universe put something on Twitter this week. He published like an actual list from American regulations of how shipping batteries over a certain wattage per hour and size is unshippable. Like you can't do it. Like it has to come by boat. And a lot of these Chinese foldables and phones are pushing that battery capacity
to the limit,
high, which means that they can't physically get them in the country fast enough.
There's a difference between I think we talked about this before here. The difference between the capacity and watt hour. What airlines what airlines care about is watt hour.
Yeah.
So you can probably increase the capacity as long as you keep within the same watt hour, and you're fine. But so this new tech might actually push the regulations to change at some point, right? Because the tech is not stopping. The battery technology is improving. Not just on phones, but in cars as well. So I think there's that silicon carbide is probably going to get the regulations to change at some point. I don't know the details, but I wonder if that is less likely to catch fire. But I also saw this week, I posted some on Twitter.
Less likely.
Yeah. Because
that's a great swipe line for any ad
the reason
campaign,
I said that is because because Anker, right? They do probably one of the top brands for chargers. They just recalled a bunch of their 2025 products. So because they are not likely, they are catching fire. So I think it's it's still a risk. But maybe silicon carbide is the answer, and maybe the regulations will change. But until we see that, the reality is, right, if you're getting a day's battery, I always go back to this. If I'm getting a full day battery, I don't give a crap, because overnight I can just leave it charging, right? It's not an issue. Is when a device, when you not that busy, I can go back to my S24 Ultra. That should have been a full day's battery. For me, it never was. It was, by 8 p.m., 9 p.m. on a regular day, not taking lots of photos or videos, it would be dead. So it's like, I think give me a day battery, I'm happy. 2 days, be even better, but a day is fine.
And of other new tech that kind of caught my eye this week was those Nothing headphones. They've been bold.
Yeah.
Bold indeed.
I just wonder what it sounds like. I mean, it looks incredible.
Do you like the look of them? That's what
I do.
I think they look like Lego bricks. You had the Nothing phone for time. Remember, I got quite good views on Nothing phone. So I bought their Nothing One and the Nothing Earbuds One and things like that. So I've got the actual ethos of the company I kind of like. It's just I looked at that design and I thought, whoa, okay.
I love it.
Off.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's very similar to what they're doing with their phones, right? I mean, it's very different. They're not copying anybody. It's very different.
And full noise cancelling for under £300 or £300 in the UK. So, I mean, they've been aggressive with the price. They've been punchy.
Yeah. They're going after the Sonys and that sort of range, right? But I think they look great, and I think we'll sell well. Unless it sounds bad, right? If the audio quality isn't good, then it doesn't matter what you do with the looks. Because when you can buy for a similar price, you can buy the XM6s, right, from Sony. Yeah, I'd still, as to say, I'd probably buy the Sony if the sound quality is better.
I feel like they're going for the whole, we're edgy. We've got this edgy design. and they're just banking on that as like that's their only selling point, because that phone is butt ugly. Oh, it's so ugly. And that glyph little screen at the top right corner, yeah. You know, if anyone says, like, people said, oh, about the S25 Edge, who asked for that? Literally, who asked for that? Who is asking
nobody.
for no, not one person said, oh, I wish I had a glyph interface on the back of my phone.
It's almost like a diversion tactic, right, as well. It's like, I saw an interview by Carl Pei, and a lot of the questions are obviously, directed at reviewers, because, they're doing an internal podcast, but the questions, you can tell that the questions is trying to answer
directly to
criticisms
reviewers.
from
Yeah.
So one of them is, about the lower spec camera, because they make these flashy designs, but then you look at the components and it's like, okay, speakers crap, or they've taken out an entire port or whatever, or they removed a camera, a lens, So there's a lot of cutting hardware, and the answer is always, we don't think people want that. And I always think that is a bit of a cop out, right? And we've seen Apple do that as well. Our customers are not asking for this. It's like, you'd be surprised, right? Because people do want to see better cameras. As
an Apple customer, I can say I am indeed asking for that.
People are not asking for 120 hertz. Well, I think we're getting it now.
Yeah,
when everyone's moving to 144 or whatever.
Yeah,
and just briefly to that point, just to let you know, Daniel's doing his entire podcast on a MacBook on battery, with the mic and with headphones and with camera.
Started at 100. We're at 77%.
Can we put a sheep?
A sheep. Yeah, Apple shill. Yeah.
I don't know if I have a sound effect here, but.
Well, we've covered the Mac, but I just thought I'd say, because you just made that point, that being an Apple guy, I do like that. I love that there's one tiny little Apple logo in your Samsung world. It does well for my heart. It really does.
I'm unsubbing.
He's a sellout.
And I know we're a few months away from the September event, but again, it's all pretty much locked in now. The Air sounds like it's a definite that's going to happen. It sounds like the battery is going to be the issue again, because the dimensions of the phone. I think they're shipping it, or there's a battery they're shipping with it.
Can we make a prediction here?
Which is
the iPhone Air will be the best selling device this year.
Yeah. For sure.
And then it's not, but the questions will be, oh, who asked for this? Or this is, such a stupid, look at this battery or whatever. It will be, oh my gosh, it's the best thing ever.
But of course, if they get a steal on slim phones, then suddenly this whole slim phone market will open up, because people there's slim phones available, because everybody gets to hear.
It might do the Edge a favor, right? Because
that's what I mean.
You're right. It's currently like no one is getting any views on those videos. I'm kind of glad
no single views.
I had an issue with my sample device. I was going to buy one anyway, but I got a sample sent to me that was locked to a previous creator who had the device.
Brutal.
So I actually still have the SIM card. So Super Saf or
Telegram was about, wasn't it?
Chap or whatever. One of these.
Apparently the Air is going to be about the same. The Air is going to be about the same thickness as the iPad. The new iPad Pros. It's about 5 millimeters. So and it's going to have I think they're swapping out. The Air's going to have titanium to hopefully avoid any bending, but the Pro is going for aluminium this year, and the Pro is getting vapor chamber as well, apparently, and 8K video.
Oh,
so hey, they're all things apparently people want. So so there are changes. I mean, obviously there's that new camera layout as well, the camera island on the back as well. So
I know I'm always like the first to criticize and make like silly remarks about Apple, but my next video is about the 17 Pro range, not the Air or the regular, about kind of the things that I'm looking forward to. Mm-hmm. One of them is you mentioned in there, and I think initially people will go, "Oh, right, it's just better video," but I wouldn't be surprised if 8K video, because of that. I think they're getting 3 cameras will have 48 megapixels.
Yeah, right? That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And the front's 24, isn't it?
8K is almost like one of the resulting things that you get with those cameras, but it's better night photography, better everything. So I'm excited for video because of that. Not because of 8K itself, but because of the quality of everything else as a result. Yeah. So I think, the other thing is, we're still getting, I think, is it 35 watt charging on wired, which is not great. Oh no, 35 watt wireless, which is good, from 15 watt right now, and 50 watt on wireless.
Beats Samsung.
So it's good, but it's not going to be amazing like the Chinese models that we took, like Xiaomi and whatever. But yeah, so there's things in there to be excited about, but there's also things that's like the dynamic island is still there, right? Because they haven't removed the Face ID stuff. That's still there, and at this point in time, I think we've had enough. I mean, I'm not speaking as an Apple iPhone user anymore, but it does annoy me to buy a device like that and then go, whatever percentage it is of your display is constantly blacked out.
And
unless you call an Uber, and then
it's a software blackout. That's the part that gets me, is they've added in and filled it in with black with the software. I'm like,
yeah, let me use the display. I love the
option to remove the black.
Yeah, I think it might have been Honor. Someone copied it and made it software. Like, but it's a pinhole, but the dynamic island aspect of it, like notifications and whatever integration with apps, which is awesome, that comes up when needed. But if you're watching a Netflix show, give me my freaking display, man. I paid for it. Don't give me that massive hole at the top.
And the actual lineup this year, of course, because the Air is going to be different, because you have the 17 now as the base model, the Air in the middle, and then the Pro range at the top. And apparently, as it stands at the moment, prices start for the 17 at $799, $899 for the Air, and $999 for the Pro. But that's tariff dependent. There's talk that it could go up by $100, $200.
There's a price hike, right, on the Pro?
I thought it was $999 still, entry.
Okay, right.
But that's as it stands at the moment. And then the other things, apparently AirPods 3 are coming out and new AirTags. So, I mean, it's going to be the normal sort of bum fight, I think. It's just, now hearing what you two said about the slim phones, I thought I'd buy the Air because it's different. But now if 8K and the better cameras and 348 megapixel cameras are coming to the Pros, I'm thinking, well, maybe that's the better phone to buy. I don't think I can afford to buy both. So,
if Edge is any indication in terms of the interest for a slim phone from the market, especially one with specs as sort of poor on paper as what this one, I did quote it in inverted quotation marks for people listening. People don't want to watch it. People will watch it. They'll abuse you for saying how much you like it, and then that's it. And there's this very small amount of audience that will do that.
I'm willing to bet against that. I think because it's Apple and because it's a cheaper iPhone,
that's true.
I think that has a potential to be almost like the Mac Mini. It's like it's a gateway.
But will it be cheaper?
Another one. It's slightly
cheaper
than
the Pro, yeah.
But yeah, the Edge was cheaper than the Ultra, but still priced quite high.
Out of interest, where does the entry Edge come in at?
It comes in between the Plus and the Ultra.
So prices would be US?
US, it's I think $10.99. I think US $10.99. Okay. It's up there.
So yeah. So the Air is speculated to be a little bit cheaper than that then.
But this is the thing, right?
But it's going to have
because
less
it's Apple. Because of
what I've heard,
Samsung said all the right things about the Edge. It is not for you're not buying it for the cameras. You're not buying it for the battery life. You're buying it because it's thin. You're buying it because of that convenience. And holding that bloody thing is like still having
deceptively
a
light. Yeah, deceptively light.
Awesome. You put it in your pocket, and it's not even there. And very durable. I mean, so Patrick Rambles came to London a few weeks ago, and we did a vlog, and his video, we talked about the Edge, and he dropped it waist high on concrete, and I thought it's like display first on the floor, and I was like, oh my god, that's gone. That's definitely gone. It would have gone if it was any other phone, but because it's light, not a single mark, nothing. It's like, geez, it would which. A lot of people are saying don't buy it but when you put a case on it, it's not gonna, you're gonna lose the appeal of the thin phone. My argument is you don't need a case because they're extra durable. Because you can feel the flex if you try to flex it. Let me see if I can do it here.
No case on mine.
Yeah, I don't know where mine's gone, but
pretty rock solid, isn't it?
Very rock solid.
Tiny little flex, isn't there?
But it straightens back out, and it's a titanium. It's a titanium frame here,
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
titanium all the way around, and that makes it very durable. And that
Yeah,
adds
it's
to the
exactly what they're
lightness.
doing with the air. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that drop basically sold it for me. I was like, oh my gosh, to survive that, it was insane. So
I will have this in my pocket for the rest of the year. I am not moving to another phone from this at any, like the other phone will switch out, but this is going to occupy my pocket for the rest of the year.
Yeah. So imagine what, Apple's marketing will do, with the Air, because Samsung did everything right, but it is still very much, something that people in the US are not going to look at, because for that price, you buy so many other phones. You can buy an iPhone. So when the iPhone Air comes out, I think it will help the Edge, because it will basically highlight, okay, what's the alternative?
It's that vortex effect, isn't it? Get sucked up into the whole slim phone.
And if Samsung put a good sale on this, like if they bring it down to the 17 Air's price, I think people will go, actually, this is offering me more for that much amount of money.
And the camera will be better, right? This got the same camera as the S25 Ultra as the main.
Yep.
Sold.
And a second,
what
camera.
Else do it?
Yeah, because it's got a single camera, yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, we'll find out in a few months' time how it all pays out on the slim phones. See what Apple has got up their sleeves, but at least there is some changes coming. So, I think this year they've actually tried what with the OS announced and the big changes to iPad and so on, and now the change to the camera layout on the back of the iPhone Pros. At least they are trying to do something just to move things along a bit. And then I think there was a couple of things you wanted to mention YouTube-wise, right?
Just to finish on Apple, because I think last time we spoke, it was before iPadOS 26 came out, right?
No, it was
Liquid Glass. Was after Liquid Glass?
Yeah.
Yeah, we spoke after it, because we had it just before and then we spoke just after it, didn't we?
Because I was just going to say, the iPadOS with that Liquid Glass and the windowed apps is awesome. I'm
still waiting for your DeX comparison.
Yeah, I'm working on that. It's, as much as I hate to say it, Apple did a good job there.
I haven't put the devs betas on. I'm still waiting for the public. It's mainly at the public betas land. I'm putting it on.
This is what I was expecting when iPadOS 17 came out, because that's when Stage Manager, maybe it's even 16, I don't know. But when Stage Manager came out, what we've got today is what I was expecting back then.
I do feel it's been a bit of a redemption year. I do think they've licked some of their wounds and actually delivered on a few things that they needed to get right, key things.
Yes. Hardware has always been great. Since 2018, we needed. I mean, people say, oh, we don't need multitasking, whatever. All of a sudden, it's like, multitasking, is a major thing that they talk at the event for like half an hour. Yeah.
I think
it's redemption from a Apple delivery perspective, but also redemption to all of us who've been saying we want this bloody thing on the iPad.
It's like the way they got lost with Apple Watch to start with, and then that found its cadence. I think it's taken a ridiculously long time for iPad to finally fly free and be its own thing. But I think
can manage
now,
files.
With this
You can use folders. You can rename stuff. You can find your shit on your iPad.
Yeah. When I first started using the iPad properly for any kind of work, having to use the Files app as it is at the moment is a pain in the arse. It's a proper pain in the arse.
I always used something, I think it's called File Manager Pro. It's like an app you pay like £5 a month. I pay a subscription for it because it's, most people don't need it because it's just, the iPad becomes this jump tap like content watching device because you can't really do a lot on it. But for people who do work on it and try to do anything like emails and whatever, you're always downloading PDFs, you're signing stuff. So you need to be able to find folders, find stuff. Yeah. So I'm glad it's gone to that level.
Yeah, me too.
I would love for iOS 26 to have windowed apps because that would make a killing. I mean, it would basically kill the argument for most of the reason why buy a Samsung or any other Android. Because right now I can plug any Samsung device into a monitor at a pinch and use it as a desktop. If the iPhone could do that, and clearly they've got the bloody technology, right? They've done it with the iPad. Yeah. It wouldn't be hard to say, right, here's windowed apps on the iPhone. Yeah, but I guess we won't see that because it's like the usual. People might not buy a MacBook Air, or they might not, or an iPad.
Yeah, exactly. And just a couple of things, YouTube-wise. Daniel, you picked up on a good story. Mr. Beast, Jimmy, dunked himself in a pile of poop.
Well, he has the View Stats platform, right, which he launched
fantastic,
a year ago or something to sort of help creators sort of see what other creators are up to, see what they're doing, just track your own stats. And something I've always admired about him as a creator is he just wants everyone in the creator space to succeed. Like he isn't one of those YouTubers who just protects what he's got and doesn't want anyone to have the formula. Like he's often said in podcasts, if you want to clip up any of my videos and make your own channel with it, shorts and whatever, go for it. I don't care. Like he's not someone who's going to go copyright strike everyone for using his content if they clip it up and make reaction videos, whatever. And I've really appreciated that stance because he's of the mindset, which I guess we all are too. There's enough views for everyone.
More visibility. Doesn't matter. Plus his visibility.
More visibility. Right? Visibility. It's like free promotion for his own channel.
Yeah.
So what's he going to stamp that out for, especially of his size? And then he comes out with View Stats and then puts this tier in where you can pay a subscription for a thumbnail service.
Yeah,
and the thumbnail service is all AI generated. Everything you do in there is all to do with generating AI thumbnails. And I think there was a controversy around the fact he was pulling without permission some other, I think Jacksepticeye called him out or something like that. So
that's right. He was one of them.
What's my face doing in there? So I think he went about it in a way that maybe wasn't a great way to start.
So just explain the service for people who don't understand, including myself, because I read something about it and I didn't really understand fully and I didn't have time. But what is the service meant to be doing? If let's say you bought that subscription of, what was it, $80 a month?
$80 a month, yeah.
That's a lot. $80 a month. What is that going to do for me? Is it going to create my own thumbnails based on viral thumbnails? What is it?
Well, I don't know what your take on it is, Daniel. My understanding was it's scrape in your niche. It will go and scrape other existing thumbs online on YouTube, and then it will say, right, we found these thumbs. Let's put your face, your image into that, and repurpose existing thumbnails that have been successful. So looking for certain key performance factors. That's as I understand it. Is that your take on it, Daniel?
Yeah, basically the general idea of it was that they can insert faces of themselves into existing thumbnails and sort of recreate the artwork or recreate the style of popular YouTubers because they performed well. Right?
Yeah,
and
exactly that.
That kind of links back into his whole mindset of, well, if I know this works and I can help other people with it, then I don't care. Like if they want to steal my thumbnail design and put their face on it, like who am I to stop them? But here's a service that can help them do that, especially if you can't are not creative enough.
This is done, by the way, right? This is not something new, right? People actually do that anyway. Yeah. But he's offering a service to actually make that process easy, so you don't hire a thumbnail creator, right?
But the backlash was massive, like on several fronts. He copped it for the fact that, you know, other people's artworks were part of the generative AI stuff. And then he copped it for the fact he was stealing work away from real people who design thumbnails.
The designers, and
everyone was saying AI, like, what's he doing getting on AI? He's just trying to profit off everyone. And the thing I really, again, like about what he does is as soon as something sort of goes wrong, he reads the room, holds his hand up and says, there was a mistake. I didn't understand where the market was at. I thought people would be excited about it, and he pulled it. Made a video saying he's completely dismantled the service and replaced it with a, like, almost, I want to say, directory of real thumbnail designers that you can go and click through on his website, find a real thumbnail artist and hire them to make your thumbnail. And so he's basically
still profiting,
he's turned it into a thing that actually helps.
Fiverr.com is probably going to get upset now.
Yeah. Well, then he'll cop it for that. The thing is, I think he can't really win, because I've seen the response to that video he made pulling the AI and replacing it. And even then, they're like, "Oh, you're only just doing this because you caught backlash." Yeah, he is.
But
like,
at least you're listening.
What do you want him to do?
I think that's fine. Yeah. He made a mistake, owned up, and and actually tried to make something out of it. I think that's fine. I think the reality is, whether he does it or not, someone else will do it. And
it's going to happen.
The reality is, the services are there, right? It's free for anyone to go on Midjourney, or, I mean, I've used Pika recently, which is for video. It's scary. And, it's actually a threat to what we do as well, because it's like, what stops someone making a video with our faces and our voices and whatever? you know,
Well, I
it's
think
all there.
Austin
And you can
Evan.
say, replace this device in my hand with this other one, and just show them two pictures. Austin Evans did a really good one where he did it of himself, and you can't tell the difference. You really, unless you're him. And I've used it in my Brazilian channel. I've used that to replicate myself talking in Portuguese. Scary. Like, it was speaking better than I can speak, but it was like me. You know, it was, I couldn't argue, even though it was AI generated. But yeah, it's there. If you know what you're doing with AI, you can kind of mix tools up, and even within the same tool, just get, here's the initial frame, here's the final frame, do your thing, and it spits out this incredible bits of hardware. I was like, I'm using for B-roll now. Sometimes, like, why go to the stress of getting this convoluted camera angles and movements when I can say, here's a shot that I took, I want this camera movement on it. Why not?
Premiere Pro have built in a generative extend with video, where you can
awesome
extend
too,
the video clip out by, I think, 5 to 10 seconds.
Adobe are awesome on that.
Yeah,
literally create the video
new
footage.
canvas. Yeah,
like, it's crazy.
They did that in Photoshop to start with, didn't they? Where you could expand the canvas.
I use that on all my
now
thumbs.
It's video.
Yeah. Sometimes it's small details. Sometimes it's like, you know, even if it's just a watermark, I'll credit, you know, whoever needs crediting. But sometimes I don't want the watermark on the image, so I'll just highlight it. You know, generative AI. I don't even need to prompt it. It kind of guesses that you want that removed, and it was just like, here's a clean one. It's like, jeez.
The whole AI thumbnail thing, like, I think there's got to be like a balance. I do understand the idea of it, because imagine a new YouTuber who has no idea what they're doing, and they can just, hey, this is a service that can help me. But then the thing that I think will end up happening is people just push that too far, to the point now where there's channels that are literally just generative videos with a generative voiceover, pulling clips from other creators using AI, just overlaying.
That exists as well.
Clip. And I've seen my footage pop up multiple times in these random AI videos.
Yeah. In the comedy world, people are using babies with the voices of famous adults. And it's
Ricky
like
Gervais,
real babies
I've seen him and Stephen Merchant and Carl Pilkington, their old podcast is coming back with babies. Yeah. And it's quite intense. But I've also seen a lot of AI generated rubbish of like interviews at Wimbledon, of AI generated interviews at Wimbledon. I'm like, it's all garbage, and people are just doing it, and they're winning off it.
Monetizing, yeah, of course, yeah.
It's annoying.
Just speaking of Adobe briefly, I'm part of the Lightroom community now, so my edits I'm posting up there, and people you're allowed to remix, so they'll see what I've done. They see all of my edits, and they can then try their take on it. And so it's really interesting, actually. You know, if you're a nerd about photography, it's really. But it was odd talking of AI in Lightroom. They've got these AI image removal. So if there's people in the background of a shot, yesterday I did a shot of this Aston Martin, just the headlight, the iconic DB5. Adobe pulled it, saying that I'd infringed copyright, and I was allowed to argue back. So, well, it was my picture on my camera with my preset, my edits. The only thing that wasn't mine was a car. Are you saying that I can't post a picture of an Aston Martin? And that's the odd. And also, if you use they've got a blur, an AI blur effect you can put on. So if you want more blur in the background, you can't upload an image that used their blur effect on into the community, which I don't.
Honestly, I think Adobe are doing a lot of things right, but when it comes to copyright, bloody hell! I mean, if you go to the their stock Adobe, where you can download, I pay for that service.
Yeah, I used to.
Most of the stuff that gets presented when I search for anything is awesome, but when you look close, it's like, this was generated by AI. So I'm like, sorry, you're profiting off someone? Like, no, I want a real photographer's work, and I don't mind paying for that. But most of them on their own stock thing, you know, it's funny that they're saying that to you, but it's like they themselves are selling AI generated works. Like,
the first time I ever uploaded a picture, I used a preset, and they bumped it. And okay, I understand the rules now. That's somebody's preset. Fine, I can't be putting a picture up. Not that I'm profiting from it, but I get that. That's their IP. Fine. So I've created my own preset, which I use, you know, 2 or 3 of my own that I use. I was just really surprised how they got it so wrong. Why? I've got no idea at all.
I think it's an exciting world, right, where we've got access to incredible tools there to enhance our creativity. My next iPhone 17 Pro Max, because I don't have the phone, right? It's not out yet for 2 months. I think it's a great use case, right? To go in there and generate your own ideas. sometimes picking, from renders that you imagine, some renders that you go, like for me, like I wanted to go to Mid-Journey, create one that has a tiny screen at the back, because I think if Apple did that would be amazing. But then it's just an image.
Yeah.
The next level is, can I animate this image and make it into a video, for a bit of B-roll? It's a bit more interesting, bit whatever. It's kind of using your creativity yourself to generate stuff that might exist in future. But it's when you start to crop up against, like, you're just copying someone else's work. I think that's when I'm like, I don't know. Use AI, right? By all means, I think it's awesome that we've got it. But I don't know. Some of the stuff is inevitable. Yeah, it's scary that we could end up to a point where what we do is irrelevant, because it's anyone really. If you look at it, it's like anyone can generate a review and get a character to talk in front of the camera.
I accidentally clicked on an AI podcast once where literally two AI people were talking to each other in a podcast format. And I was like, why have I clicked on this? They used a thumbnail of Dr. Mike, the YouTuber Dr. Mike.
Yeah.
He's like, anyway, he reacts to TV shows. Yeah. They used his thumbnail, and I went, oh, what's he on a podcast about? But it wasn't him. It was just two AI-generated people talking to each other. I went, this is weird.
Diary of a CEO has lots of those, like, I thought it was his video, or I thought it was on Twitter. There's ads with him. It's like he's promoting all sorts of shit. And
I've seen it.
It's him talking. It's his image. It's his thumb. It's his everything. All the marketing looks and feels exactly like that person. But he's like, no, it's not me. This is not me. It's just someone completely generated it with AI.
But again, I have this uncanny habit of just getting into things at the wrong time. I've just got a website that's doing moderately okay for myself now. And of course, now websites are going to kind of be redundant, because they're going to scrape all of the data that I'm writing and uploading to there, and my scripts out, my videos, and just give you a synopsis at the top of a Google search. And why bother visiting my website?
Yeah, it's not wildly known. Yeah, I mean, in South America, it's becoming popular now, where people are using, they kind of do a little bit of social engineering to find out your family members. If you've got kids or whatever, they will get those persons' voices and then call you in the middle of the night saying that person's in trouble. Here's, can you send money here and that, whatever. Obviously, if it's someone like my dad or someone who doesn't know enough about this stuff, they'll go, oh my gosh, yeah, he's in trouble. Yeah. Here's the money. And there's a lot of scams going around because of that in South America. It's just literally phone calls, pretending to be someone and it sounds exactly like we can generate anyone's voice right online. It's crazy.
I mean, a much watered down version of that. You probably, I'm guessing, had it in the UK. I don't know about you, Daniel, but I've had texts and, hey, Dad, it's me. Give me a call. And, it's for that brief moment, it could catch you out. I mean, I know, obviously, because we're online all the time, we're pretty wary about anything that lands before clicking on it. But things like that are just so scary. You know, and if they land in the wrong people's hands, God knows what damage is going to be done. And
if I've got a hey dad,
what we can do, but also scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say, if I got a hey dad, it's me. I'd be like, Alberto, you're 7. Why have you got a phone?
Yeah, but the one is that you talk about out in South America. That's scary, but it's the actual voice of the, which kind of, that's what we talked about last time about these rules changes to CapCut and so on. That can't be a good thing. I've watched a couple of videos on that now, and that is scary. The levels, and there is no going back. Once you signed into their terms and conditions, they can take whatever they want. And again, as you say, if your kids' voices, faces, whatever that's going to be out there.
It's scary because it wasn't long. It was probably less than 2 years ago when generative video was like, okay, yeah, you can tell it's a bit so rough, but now is, oh my gosh, yeah. I mean,
the pace of which it's developing at is not being kept up with the understanding of the lawmakers and the governance. Like, they don't understand.
No.
What's happening, because it's just rapidly developing quickly, and
there's no way of
stopping it.
Yeah, as a platform, YouTube is seems anyway clueless to it. They added a little tick for you as a creator to tick if it's AI, but it's like people monetizing this stuff. They don't.
They've just added something to do with shorts, right? Where they can detect if a short is being like stolen from someone else's content or something like that. They're like stopping that whole clipping and sort of reaction to other people. They're sort of putting an end to that and demonetizing people, but that's not enough to stop the AI generated slop that is just going out there.
No. And just a kind of a callback to Honor, right? Because I think it was with the Magic 7 Pro, which is their flagship phone, not the foldable. earlier this year, they've got something that they introduced an AI identity. So you basically tell if someone calls you pretending to be someone else that you know, on device they can tell whether that was AI generated. I think that was a really clever. At the time, I was like, why are they coming up with this? You know, but now it's like, oh right, I can see why now, because it's like it won't be long, you know, before we get calls, FaceTime calls or whatever, from people who we think we know, but it's just a robot somewhere.
Luckily, I don't have many friends, so the chance of me getting a call is remote. And once I put my little violin away, I think that's a wrap, boys, isn't it? I think we've got through the points we needed to.
Yeah, sounds good.
That sounds good to me.
So it's a big week. It's a big week for you boys next week. Then
We'll be unpacking
busy week.
stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got a lot going on.
I'll be expecting upload. I'll be seeing it all pop up on the screen.
I've given myself tomorrow off and Sunday because I've uploaded my video for Sunday already, and I've got the Sam Mobile video done for today. And then Monday,
you are organized. Already uploaded for Sunday. Jesus, I've never been in that situation. Never.
I started. Well, again, I thank the MacBook Pro because this I can work way more places. Like when I was at the lounge in Sydney, I didn't have to plug into power.
My work here is editing. Done.
Yeah, but David, relax.
Another one turned.
Relax.
Tech with eye benefits.
I'm going to delete my channel now.
Daniel with his iCloud account. Love it. Right.
Tim Cook.
I haven't got iCloud. One. Like I said, I've got no iCloud. I have not given any money to Mr.
so
Tim.
Quickly. I'd have to go just beneath the surface and just to prick it a little bit. And
I've got this working with my Samsung ecosystem through some hack way. So I'm using it, you know, in my way.
The trade.
Not the way they're telling me to.
Alex, he doth protest too much. Anyway,
got a Mac Studio this week. Anyway.
Whoa, see it now.
Gateway,
exactly.
Okay, sorry. Before you wrap up, I saw an M2 Max MacBook Studio for like 1,800 Australian, which is about 900 pounds.
That's
awesome. I thought that's a pretty good deal, but I haven't pulled the trigger. I don't need it. What do I need it for? I don't need it. So I didn't get it.
You said that. How long did it take to pull the trigger? Exactly. We've been through this with you before. We know what's going to
He'll get an iPhone as a second phone. The iPhone Air is coming through.
Yeah, just to airdrop to that Mac of yours.
Just calm down. All right, is that it? Oh my God, look at that. We've run out of time. Okay.
Well, we'll be back after Unpacked, a couple of weeks' time. Lots to talk about then, of course, once everybody knows what was announced and people getting their hands on it and talking about it. So we'll be back to fully go through everything that happened at Unpacked. Thank you, as ever, for watching and listening, and we'll see you in just a couple of weeks' time.
See you guys.
Bye.